Hello everyone, Chris Sawyer right here coming at you. The Varietal Show is back. I've got the great Keller Estate wines today. I've got my great friend Anna Keller. We are social distancing because that's what's in right now. We have to do this, but we wanted to invite you here to the fabulous Keller Estate. Anna, thank you for having me.
I'm thrilled to be here. Haven't seen you for a while.
I know, we haven't seen each other. We miss each other. We are good friends, dear friends. And so today's show is going to be about Pinot, but not just Pinot Noir, but Pinot Gris as well. For those of you that haven't read the whole books on everything about wine and varietals, one of the main things about Pinot Noir is it was the genesis of also Pinot white grape varieties like Pinot Gris, which is the same as Pinot Grigio, and Pinot Blanc, and definitely has the relationship with Chardonnay as well. So one of the reasons I really picked Anna out for this and Keller Estate is because where we're at right now is in the Petaluma Gap. So if you guys haven't heard of this yet, this was one of the most magnificent new appellations, and actually the first under the Trump administration, believe it or not. 2017, December, when we went to our party, our Christmas party for the Petaluma Gap, because I live in Petaluma too. And Anna, from my house to here, it's about a 5-mile direct route if we were crows flying that way. From my house to this winery, and it's just so great to be here and to actually see the first bottling of this with the Petaluma Gap appellation on it. So that's why this bottle is really special for me to be holding right there. So Anna, tell us a little bit about how did this winery get started? I mean, you and I take a lot of pride in the fact that I was the first member of the media that ever came to visit you. And we had an amazing lunch up on top of the hill. Had an amazing, we got to know each other real well. We've been great friends ever since then. That was a long time ago.
A long time ago, and I remember it was a very windy day.
It was an extremely windy day.
We should have known that wind was going to continue to live with us for many years.
Indeed.
So we started our property, my dad bought this property in the early 1980s. And he bought it because he thought it was a beautiful piece of land. He really wanted a place where he could come out and enjoy driving his old cars. These are beautiful old roads. Eventually settled here, bought the property, and built a small road to test drive the cars and work on them. And eventually he decided that they could start doing some agriculture. As you know, back in the mid-80s, there was not a lot of grapes planted out here.
No.
And he thought, well, what can we grow? He went up to Davis, and Davis gave them some good advice. They said, plant Chardonnay. Worst case scenario, if it doesn't ripen, you can always sell it to a sparkling wine producer, which, as we know, do not need the fruit to mature so much and hang on the vine. So if it couldn't mature because it was so cold here, we could turn it into a sparkling wine.
Right.
But it ripened, and Keller Estate was born that way.
Yeah. You know, the story too is where we're at. We're on Lakeville Road, which is going parallel right here with the Petaluma River. This is southern Sonoma County, so we're right there. We are the border right here. Petaluma is the border between Marin County and Sonoma County. The history of this area actually goes back to James Fair, which is, a lot of people are like, who are you talking about, Chris? James Fair was actually, he was a politician actually who came from Nevada, believe it or not, moved here, started a project that led to about the planting of 1,000 acres of vineyards here back before Prohibition. But probably what James Fair is best known for, besides the road that my high school was on, Fair Street, is a little hotel called the Fairmont Hotel. Oh, ever hear of it? Pretty great stuff. So this man came to Petaluma, and if you think about before Prohibition, Petaluma was one of the highest per capita places on the West Coast. And you go, why would this small town be that? It's because anything north of here, this was the first waterway really that came down from Mendocino all the way this way. Was the first port was really Petaluma. So you came here, there was no bridge. So this is one of the things. So we're looking out right now at the big, kind of like we call it a delta. It's not really a delta, but it's just where the river is going to go into the bay. Is just a few miles that way. So it's very, very unique. And, you know, your dad was so into cars, and, you know, he's always had a great collection of those cars. And you see where he wanted to drive on this hill. And it's so cool because these views are so stunning. But, you know, it just seemed to be the right place for grapes at that time. And I'm right there with you. One of the reasons that the Petaluma Gap became the Petaluma Gap, and I do thank you for calling me the godfather of the Gap, because I did come up with the name a long time ago. This was 20 years ago that I came up with that name when I wrote for the San Francisco Chronicle, and we were sitting in Andreessen's bar when I came up with it. I do remember that too. But the fact is, what makes this so unique and special is the fact that the Bodega Head is completely about 15 miles that way, and it is a wind tunnel that comes directly this way, and it's what separates Petaluma Gap from all the other areas of Sonoma County and Northern California, is this wind tunnel that comes this way, and it's the fog. The fog is something that's very powerful here. And the wind in general, you always have to have a windbreaker in the afternoon. It just is that thing.
We do not do dinners outside.
No dinners outside here. But it's just such a unique thing that I think it's a lot because of the clonal material of Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, and as we're talking, Pinot Gris as well, that makes a big difference here in what can really be planted. And especially on a hillside like this that gets the wind that comes in. So you've got great growth during the day, but when it's time to end, it's over, you know, so it preserves the acidity.
It preserves the acidity, and the other thing that happens is that, as you've been pointing out towards the river, these are the ancient seabeds of the San Pablo Bay. Yeah. So they have rich mineral content, heavy clay soils, and that just adds, it's kind of the perfect pairing for acidity is minerality.
Yep, I agree. So speaking of which, hi everyone. This is the great new release. So this is 2017. 18, sorry, 18. I keep thinking about the year that the appellation was made. That's 17, once again, you guys. And it was a funny thing because our usual party that we have, a Christmas kind of winter gala, was where we got announced that. And actually, Michael Thompson was there to tell us that he had gotten it through and that we were actually an appellation for the first time.
It was a huge team effort, and there was a lot of people pushing all kinds of politicians and different members just to make sure that everybody came together to recognize the area.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, Pinot Gris, what really makes me love Pinot Gris is, first of all, the aromatics. When we talk about aromatic white wines, you know, you can talk all you want about Chardonnay, but, you know, in some cases you're talking a lot of oak, vanilla smells, all these kinds of things. You're like, how did the macadamia nuts get in here? I don't know, because the winemaker. Whereas this is more natural beauty, you know, it's just, it really is very pure. And if you go up to Oregon's Willamette Valley, I mean, this is the other grape that they're growing there, because Pinot Noir and Pinot Gris go together because they're from the same family genus. So it's a really interesting thing, you know, when we're smelling this to know that there's Pinot Noir right there and there's also Pinot Gris right nearby it. The blocks are very close, and here we are. This is a white version, as we call it, a white mutation of Pinot Noir.
Cheers.
Cheerios. And once again, I get asked this question a lot. The difference between Pinot Gris and Pinot Grigio. It's the same grape, but it's kind of a stylistic difference. What made you just say, we're going to go the French style or the Alsatian style?
Well, it's funny because it started off being Pinot Grigio.
Yeah.
You know,
I just like saying Pinot Grigio.
I know, and it's so much
fun.
fun. It's summer, it's a fun wine, and I think our original thought was that we wanted a great, fresh, bright wine to drink in summer. As we planted and got to learn more and saw the depth of our Pinot Noir, we realized that it wanted to be something a bit more serious. It's got a lot of, we were able to get that minerality and that brightness and that unctuousness. We don't, so we did it a bit more seriously, and that's why we went to Alsace.
I love it. You know, this one, just on the nose, it really reminds me a lot of I mean, it's got this really nice thing with this poached pear going on, and also some really kind of almost tropical kinds of notes. Like there's a little touch of mango in here on the backside with citrus as well. I like mango, so
I love mango. I love mango.
There's a nice little spice note too.
You know what? This is one of the things that I've got to learn about our vineyard. It's a very spicy vineyard.
Yeah.
We get spice notes, and I think it is a combination of the wind and the minerality and the soil depth.
Yeah.
But we always get in, and I always find that when I'm looking for tropical spicy notes, tamarind comes to mind. So
that's exactly it.
So tamarind is one of those things that it is a seed, but it does have that spicy component, which is why, if you think of tamarind, then you're automatically pairing this with great food from ethnic food from around the world that have tamarind. Yeah. Indian food, Mexican food, it just brings out that spiciness and the acidity. It's kind of a great match.
What do you like about the wine? What grabs you? I mean, what are the ones that really stand up for you? The spices in here, and the besides that, but the flavor profile.
For me, you know, it always starts, it has this kind of really interesting apricot fruit center.
Especially right now, it's coming up.
But I always love, for me, it's been, people tend to think that it's a very straightforward wine to make because you ferment it, you put it, you know, it's a stainless steel fermented, we age it in stainless steel and then we bottle it. And so you don't think you're going to find the complexity of using oak. But in our case, for us, the complexity comes from harvesting at the right time so that we can find what I call the elusiveness, you know, the mineral oil. I'm always looking for that elusive mineral oil, which sounds horrible if I describe it to you. But it's kind of this interesting aroma that has a little bit of sweetness to it, a little bit of kind of I'm not going to say, it's not car oil, so by any means of the imagination, don't go there. But it does have that unctuousness and that weight, which is what I love about this wine. Yeah.
Wow. Beautiful texture too. I think that's one of the things about this kind of more of an Alsatian style. When I refer to Alsatian style, we're talking about the Alsace region of France and Germany. It's really up there in the north. It's also one of the greatest places for food in the world. I mean, the Michelin star restaurants there, it's mainly pork, a lot of pork there. But the fact is that, you know, these are the kinds of things. So you think about something that you can do with not only things on the grill, but also like pork chops and things like, what kind of chutney are you going to make with that, you know? And especially when you stuff, you know, pork tenderloin, you know, and starting out with a little course like this, it'd be so great. The fish, I mean, there's so many things. What do you like to have with this wine?
You know what? I'm going to be cooking a pork with a nice apricot chutney because that sounds delicious. But I also love it with oysters. Yeah. I think it's a great companion to oysters when we go get it. People tend to think of lighter styled wines automatically with grilled and outdoors, but I do agree that this is beautiful with stewed, kind of light stewed meats, or fish or a bouillabaisse, because it gives that brightness, cleanses the palate, and I always think that perfect wine pairing is something that is refreshing. It cleanses your palate, gives you a new flavor, but gets you ready for the next bite.
Absolutely. I love it. And you know, I think that the key for me with this wine is not just the flavor profile, but the acidity. And I think this is really what we're looking at right now. You can see Mount Tamalpais that way. You can see this great area here. It's really that acidity that's preserved each day when the wind comes in, and the fog in many cases. Especially, I think that the key here today, it's a really nice day today. It's not going to get foggy today. This is springtime. Fogginess is not the biggest thing in springtime, but coming up to harvest, it really is. It's the key to the Petaluma Gap is the fog belt that really comes in here. And it's very different than Russian River. Russian River, which is up north from here, it's actually kind of on the border. It's actually how the line was drawn. It was right on Russian River to the north of us. But that is a little bit different because it has a big mountain range right there that's blocking it. So sometimes when you're looking down this way from Santa Rosa, you can see that Petaluma is totally filled in with fog. Whereas the Russian River, it's sitting pretty right then with the mountain and this little, it's almost like a cappuccino.
Yeah,
it's almost like a cappuccino foam on top of it, because that fog really wants to get in there, but it can't. It has to go through the river or along the Green Valley kind of route to get there, whereas it just comes full blown here. It's the difference between here, if any of you come from San Francisco and you just go out Bodega Road towards Bodega Head, which is the beach out there, you'll see that these are just rolling mountains like this. They're not high mountains. It's just a rolling thing, and the fog can't be stopped because of that.
Did you know that this is the only appellation ever